If you've ever tried to lose fat, you know the deal. The advice is absolutely everywhere, and it's completely overwhelming. So today, we're cutting right through all that noise. We are going to bust the 10 biggest fat loss myths that are probably sabotaging your progress, and we're going to replace them with what the science actually says. Let's get right into it.
You see it all the time, right? Social media influencers, magazine covers, everyone seems to have the one secret trick. The problem is, most of those tricks are just myths that leave you feeling frustrated, confused, and totally stuck. So this explainer is all about giving you some clarity, using solid evidence as our guide.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the engine, your body, and how it actually uses fuel. This is where some of the biggest, most stubborn myths live. So let's not waste any time, let's start debunking.
Now, this first myth is a big one. You hear it all the time. Calories don't matter, it's all about hormones. And look, hormones are super important. They absolutely influence your hunger, your energy, where you store fat. But they don't break the laws of physics. At the end of the day, energy balance, calories in versus calories out, is still the fundamental principle that drives weight change. It's the foundation of everything.
The classic villain, carbs. This myth loves to demonize an entire food group. And yeah, low-carb diets can definitely work for some people, but it's not because carbs are somehow inherently fattening. The key word here is context. A diet full of whole grains, fruits, and veggies is a world away from a diet full of sugary sodas and pastries. It's the quality and, again, the total calories that really matter.
Wouldn't it be awesome if a special tea or some celery juice could just melt the fat away? Yeah, I wish. But unfortunately, it's just marketing. Sure, some things like caffeine can give your metabolism a tiny little temporary boost, but no single food is a magic bullet. And those detoxes, your liver and your kidneys are absolute pros at detoxing your body. They don't need any help from expensive juices.
This myth is a classic case of confusing correlation with causation. You know, people who tend to eat late at night often make less healthy choices and just eat more calories overall. But your body doesn't have a clock that suddenly flips a switch and starts storing everything as fat after 8 p.m. What really counts is the total amount of energy you take in over a full 24-hour period. So, to wrap up part 1, let's talk strategy. Forget the myths and just focus on these 4 things. First, create a small, manageable calorie deficit that you can actually stick with. Second, build your meals around protein and fiber. They're your best friends for staying full. Third, pick a carb approach that works for you, whether it's low or high. And finally, just focus on whole, minimally processed foods. It's that simple.
All right, so with our fuel sorted, let's move on to part 2, the machine, and how we move it. You know, the myths around exercise are just as common as the ones about diet, so let's clear a few of those up right now.
We've all seen it, right? The promise that doing 1,000 crunches a day will magically melt away belly fat? The truth is, you can't pick and choose where you lose fat from. Your body draws energy from its fat stores all over, not just the part you're working out. Doing crunches will definitely strengthen your abs, which is great, but to actually see them, you have to reduce your overall body fat.
A lot of people think that the only path to fat loss is spending hours and hours on the treadmill. And while cardio is fantastic for your heart, if that's all you do, you can end up losing valuable muscle right along with the fat. Resistance training is the key to holding on to that muscle, which is what keeps your metabolism fired up and gives you that lean, strong look. The real magic happens when you combine the two.
Okay, this one is probably one of the most damaging myths out there, especially for women. The fear of getting bulky from lifting weights is everywhere. But here's the reality. Getting truly bulky is actually incredibly difficult. It takes very specific, intense training and, most importantly, a big calorie surplus. For most people, lifting weights just builds strength and creates a leaner, more toned physique, not bulk. This one is just a tough truth. Think about it this way. It might take you less than 5 minutes to eat a 500-calorie donut, but it could take you an entire hour of tough exercise to burn those same calories off. You just can't outrun your fork. Exercise is absolutely vital for your health, but your diet has way more power when it comes to creating that calorie deficit you need for fat loss. So the action plan for movement is pretty clear. Combine some kind of strength training with cardio that you actually enjoy doing. Make sure you're always challenging yourself just a little bit more over time. That's called progressive overload. And just remember, exercise is there to support your diet, not to replace it.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the operator of the machine, and that's you. Your mindset and how you track your progress are just as important as what you eat and how you move. This is where so many people get tripped up. This is a huge, huge fear for so many people. You hear these horror stories about starvation mode or someone who dieted so hard they can never lose weight again. So, is there any truth to this idea? Can you actually, permanently break your metabolism?
So here's the real story. When you lose weight, your metabolism does slow down a little bit. It's a real survival mechanism called adaptive thermogenesis. Your body is just trying to be more efficient. But the key thing to know is that this is not permanent damage. The evidence shows it's pretty much reversible once you maintain your new weight. The best way to manage it is to avoid those extreme crash diets and really prioritize keeping your muscle.
The scale. It can be your worst enemy if you let it. Your body weight can swing up and down by several pounds every single day because of things like water, what you ate, hormones, you name it. The most important thing to remember is that these little fluctuations usually have nothing to do with actual fat loss or gain.
And this chart shows you the problem perfectly. If you just look at the daily ups and downs, it looks like total chaos, right? It's discouraging. But that smooth line cutting through the noise, that reveals the real story. Clear, steady progress over time. This is exactly why you have to zoom out and look at the big picture.
So, the smarter approach is this. Please, ditch the crazy crash diets. Maybe weigh yourself less often, once or twice a week, first thing in the morning, under the same conditions. And most importantly, use other tools. A tape measure, progress photos, how your clothes are fitting, those are often way better signs of real change than that number on the scale.
We've busted the myths about fuel, about movement, and about mindset. So now, let's put it all together into a simple, clear blueprint that you can start using literally today.
So this is it. This is what it all boils down to. Everything we've talked about can be simplified to this 5-point checklist. Number 1, create a sustainable calorie deficit. 2, build your diet around protein and whole foods. 3, lift some weights and do some cardio you actually like. 4, do not forget to manage your sleep and stress. And 5, track your progress with more than just the scale. This is it. This is the evidence-based roadmap that actually works. We've covered a ton of ground, and my hope is that you're feeling a new sense of clarity, maybe a little bit of empowerment. So my final question to you is this. Now that the myths are out of the way, what is the one thing you're going to focus on this week to get closer to your goals? Just pick one and start there. Thanks so much for tuning in.